Saturday's officer-involved shooting in Pittsburgh.
Well above normal, but not quite records. We've got more temps again and rain on the way. The latest from the Skywalk Weather Center.
And excessive heat watches and warnings are affecting an estimated 85 million people.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
The Missouri Highway Patrol investigates after 3 Joplin officers are involved in a shooting over the weekend. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Topping our first 7 minutes. Shots are fired after the driver of a stolen vehicle attempts to ram into police vehicles. It started shortly after 8 a.m. Saturday morning. Patrol officers found 35-year-old Scott Pegram sleeping in a vehicle near Cunningham Park. Turns out the SUV he was in was listed as stolen. Officers then boxed him in and used a loudspeaker to ask Pegram to get out of the vehicle. JPD Captain Duncan says Pegram started ramming the stolen SUV into the patrol vehicles. Duncan says the officers moved in to break a window, and that's when shots were fired. Captain Duncan says 1 or more officers fired their weapons. Pegram was taken to the hospital in critical condition. One of the 3 officers involved was treated for minor injuries. All 3 have been placed on paid administrative leave per department policy. Well, 2 groups meet at 4th and Broadway in Pittsburgh Sunday to voice their opinions on abortion laws in Kansas. On August 2nd, registered Kansas voters will have the chance to decide the Value Them Both Amendment that regards abortion laws in Kansas. Father Jerome of Our Lady of Lourdes Catholic Church brought together pro-life advocates and hopes to encourage Kansans to vote yes for the amendment, while Chelsea Curtis helped organize the pro-choice counter-protest and hopes to be the voice of reason for the other side.
Don't strictly go to the Bible, even though the Bible does have some things to say about abortion. Honestly, for both sides, there are plenty of Bible verses that talk about abortion and how it is used.
I would say really it's not even necessarily a religious issue, it's a human issue. The fact of us supporting the idea of taking an innocent human life within the womb really goes beyond even religion.
Early voting in Kansas is already underway. You can check out our website at KOAMnewsnow.com to find more election-related articles. For the past couple of weeks, triple-digit temperatures have been normal for the 4 states. KOAM's Jalen Banks shows us how the extreme highs have impacted our local vendors at farmers markets.
The recent heat wave has forced vendors at the Pittsburgh Farmers Market to adjust. With record-high temperatures, those who farm have faced issues ranging from drought to sunburned produce. Charlie Phillips shares his struggles.
Having to water our fruits and vegetables has become a very big priority, and it's also become very expensive to do that in many cases. But then in some other cases, we have issues with food, or some of our fruits and some of our melons and things like that are getting sunburned or getting spoiled.
Despite the production challenges, not coming to the farmers market is not an option for Phillips.
For us, that's not necessarily a consideration. We plan enough different items that each week we have something else typically that is in season, and so for us not to come to the farmers market would mean that we would have produce that would not be available to our customers.
Phillips knows that the heat not only impacts the vendors but the customers as well.
It does take a toll on us. We're tired when we get here, but we do appreciate everybody that comes out in the heat because we're all ready for cooler temperatures. So we really are.
In Pittsburgh, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
Well, we're in for another day of triple digits, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. Chris Warner joins us for a first look at the forecast.
Yeah, there is some light at the end of the tunnel. We've still got a couple of 3 days before we get to the end of the tunnel, but we are on our way. However, for right now, we do have heat advisories for those of us in orange. Those run until 8 o'clock tonight, and there's a pretty good chance that they will probably be reissued come tomorrow because we've got at least one more day of heat to get through. And then in the purple, that's it, the excessive heat warning for all of northeast Oklahoma in our area that also runs until 8 o'clock tonight. So let's tell this menu we are done with it. Now let's take a look at what the future holds. Right now, you can see, again, there were rain showers this morning up to the north. So up to the north, It's just a wee bit cooler than everybody else. Everybody else is sitting around 90 to 95 degrees, and it will continue to heat up through the day. By the time we hit 100 degrees, yeah, it's going to be toasty again. But as you can see, thunderstorm chances. There's some scattered storm possibilities later on this afternoon. Then temperatures will eventually creep down into the lower 80s as the night progresses before we all drop off into roughly the mid-70s for overnight lows. Again, unless you're up north where we saw some of that rain. 68 Burlington, 68 Garnett, 80 on overnight low in Joplin. As Tanya mentioned, there's relief on the way, and it's coming in the form of two things: lower temperatures and rain. And we will break down the entire forecast a little bit later.
I'm looking forward to those two good things. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, after a brutally hot weekend, millions of Americans are still dealing with a dangerous heat wave. Dan Lieberman has the latest from New York's Times Square.
It's not easy to beat the heat across much of the U.S.
Very hot. I'm sweating right now.
Excessive heat watches and warnings are affecting an estimated 85 million people.
It's too hot. It's too hot right now.
The heat is not just a nuisance. It's blamed for at least one death in New York City, and there are other concerns. Amtrak fears the blazing temps could expand train tracks. Northeast commuters are warned to expect delays between Philadelphia and New York.
Temperatures here in New York's Times Square are expected to be sweltering again today, and there may be showers, but tourists are making the best of it.
But the heat's not stopping you.
No. It's worth it. We got to do it. It's our first time here, so we got to experience it. Yeah.
Okay.
We're over here on the playground portion of the park.
In Wichita, Kansas, a reporter from CBS affiliate KWCH measured the temperature of this playground slide.
Yeah, the kids can't go on there, definitely. That's burning hot. You can cook something on there.
As the effects of climate change become more prevalent, weather experts warn of more frequent heat waves.
The headlines are going to be filled with heat wave news every summer, and they are going to get worse.
Forecasters say temps should drop in the Northeast this week, but people in the Pacific Northwest should get ready for a blast of heat. Dan Lieberman, CBS News, New York.
That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, we take you inside an upside-down house that's turning heads in southern England. And later, we're making hot beef sundaes in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Appearances are not always what they seem, and that's certainly true for a topsy-turvy tourist attraction catching on across the pond. CBS's Tina Kraus takes us to London for the story.
Near the seaside in southern England, a house is turning heads because it and everything in it is upside down.
The upside down house is for inverted photos, so when you flip the photos, it looks like you're on the ceiling.
It's an optical illusion that begins with striking just the right pose. The magic happens when you flip the photo.
When you're actually doing the poses, you're like, oh, yeah, and then when you actually take the picture and flip it around, it's really interesting to see how it looks.
The inverted experience has spiraled into a social media sensation, with upside-down houses being built across Asia, Europe, and the U.S.
They go in and they take so many good photos and they love it. And all our advertisement is done through social media.
In the UK, visitors pay $6 for a 20-minute tour to angle their way toward all the surreal snaps they can take.
I thought it was great fun. I didn't expect to be doing aerobics and gymnastic displays.
Creativity runs wild in this house, encouraging guests to look at life from a whole new perspective. Tina Kraus, CBS News, London.
The upside-down house is also built on an angle to keep things stable. That also adds to the confusing illusions in the photos. Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Put on your comfy shoes, bring your appetite, and join us all this week as we explore lots of fair favorites. You're not going to want to miss all the food and fun.
But first, Chris Warner returns with your complete forecast.
Drought conditions not improving, but at least right now they are not worsening. As you can see, a good chunk of our area is still under severe drought. That's not really much compared to what they are dealing with out to the west. A lot of extreme and just extreme drought for a good portion of the southwestern United States. 7th and Rangeline in Joplin, some high clouds. Otherwise, it is sunny. and it is warming up fast. So here's the trade-off with the rain situation. So it's 91, but we're back to this. We have a heat index of 97. We got a dew point of 70. Humidity's up there at 50%. That's the trade-off with the rain showers that we're starting to see is in order to get the rain, we need the moisture. But because we have the moisture, we now have heat index values once again. So up north, there were rain showers this morning. They've kind of kept places like Iola, Fort Scott, Nevada a little bit cooler, while the rest of us are sitting in the lower 90s. They are about 10 degrees cooler. Everybody, though, seeing these dew points rise. We're sitting in the mid-60s to about 70 degrees. And when you take a look at the dew point tracker, that is that sticky to muggy range. It is starting to feel like that again out there. And you factor that in. Now, again, up north, they're doing all right because of the early morning rain. But everybody else, heat index values pushing the mid-90s to close to 100 in northeast Oklahoma. And that's going to be the trend today and tomorrow. And we'll go into the long range here in a minute, too, on these rain chances. So today, 100 degrees by 6 o'clock. 102 is the high we're heading for. We've got scattered thunderstorm chances later today. And that's going to be a trend also for the next couple of 3 days as well. We're going to get back into the lower 80s by midnight, all of us dipping off to about the mid-70s for overnight lows. This is the rain I was talking about. You can see it's starting to fall apart, and it all went to our north. Even though it looked like we might get something, it really stayed away from the area. What we did get out of it, though, is more heat advisories. If you're in the orange, that is a heat advisory until 8 o'clock. If you are in the purple, which is all of northeast Oklahoma, that's an excessive heat warning until same time tonight, 8 o'clock. And that's because they could see heat index values easily pushing 110 degrees. So over the next 24 hours, we're going to ride the wave of the temperatures doing their thing. Any showers we see early will clear out overnight. And as we go into tomorrow, we're still at that point, though. The temperatures are high enough, they're hiding behind the sun. They're scared to come out and show you, but we're looking at another 102, 103 degrees. So a quick reminder on those heat tips, because we still have a couple of days of this. Make sure you're staying hydrated, taking breaks, limit those outdoor activities, wear the lightweight colored clothing and light colored clothing rather, and make sure you're checking on the elderly and pets. And of course, if you got a car outside, remember this is only going as high as 90. After 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour of your car sitting outside, 133 degrees easy is what it's going to be in there. So make sure there's no one and nothing in that car. Future tracks. So let's talk about what we do have coming down the road. Some more scattered showers and thunderstorms. Unfortunately, very hot again for us tomorrow. Joplin starting out again early, 103 by noon, 107. But again, scattered shower and thunderstorm chances, and that trend will continue over the next several days. I know I'm running out of time, but this is actually something really cool to show you. Now, this is looking long range, so some of the data may change. But if we push the rain tracker all the way to the end of the week, everybody is going to get in on some kind of rainfall, upwards of a quarter to a half inch, maybe even an inch of rain. And on the 7-day forecast, there you can see rain chances continue all week long. And as they do, temperatures will start to fall a little bit too. Now, we'll still be dealing with humidity, so we may still have some sticky heat index values. But check out Saturday. Saturday's looking to be pretty well socked in with some rain, maybe some thunderstorms, at a high of only 88. And we're looking at lows dipping off into the upper 60s and lower 70s. If we can get through today and tomorrow, we are finally going to get a little bit of a break from this oppressive heat and the dry conditions that we've seen, because we are in desperate need of this rain, and a half inch of rain is better than no inches of rain at this point.
All right, well, yeah, definitely want to keep an eye on that, and hopefully that rain will come and help us out.
Keeping an eye on it, and it's still looking pretty promising at this point.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, we take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Harvey Willis, who served in the U.S. Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps. Joplin native, served from 1960 to 1969. He retired as a petty officer, first class rank. To Harvey Willis, we thank you, our four-state hero. It looks like one of our favorite ice cream desserts, but it's designed to be served as your main course. Now, Howard shows us one of the famous State Fair favorites, hot beef sundaes in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
I don't know about you, but I love a good old-fashioned fair or carnival. So all this week, we're out of the kitchen and checking out all the rides, testing our skills at the midway, and of course, eating our way from one end of the fair to the other. So, ready or not, here we go. Besides all the traditional fair foods, you know, the freshly popped popcorn, the overstuffed sausage sandwiches, and the caramel apples, these days there are so many more options to munch on. Did you know that every region of the country has their own signature dishes that are so good? There is no surprise that many of us find ourselves counting down the days until the fair. At the Iowa State Fair, for example, one of the go-to favorites is a hot beef sundae. Yeah, you heard me right, a hot beef sundae. All it is a big scoop of mashed potatoes smothered with tender as can be pot roast swimming in a rich brown gravy. Then it's sprinkled with cheese and topped with a cherry tomato. It looks just like a hot fudge sundae. And you don't have to wait for the fair to enjoy these, since the recipe is online. Just type in hot beef sundaes. I'm Howard from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, and now we're off to discover even more fair favorites so we can share them with you all week long. And every one of them will have you saying, ooh, it's so good.
That looks like a dish the kids would love to put together. And you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
If you're in the orange, it's a heat advisory through 8 o'clock tonight. If you're in the purple, that is an excessive heat warning through Tuesday at 8 o'clock. 7-day forecast, though, one more day of this after today. And then rain chances increase, temperatures will decrease, and we'll finally get a little bit of relief from this oppressive heat we've been facing the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the weekend, that's for sure.
You bet.
Finally. What do we have coming up tonight at 5?
Well, at 5, the CDC is alerting doctors and public health departments after multiple states reported cases of a type of virus that can cause life-threatening diseases in infants and babies. That's in Health Watch. Plus, an invasive bug is eating bushes across the 4 states. A horticulture expert offers tips on how to get rid of the Japanese beetles. And a Southeast Kansas company is building kits so you can order and build your own micro mansions. Hope you join us for those stories. A whole lot more, of course. It's coming up on KOAM News at 5.
All right. Thank you, Dow. Thanks for joining us for KOAM News at Noon. We'll see you right back here at 5 o'clock.